For the record.
Yes, good day everyone. Welcome to another episode of today's
For the record.
with yours truly,
Senor Simon.
your firm and courageous confidant of truth, an agent of light and clarity to a darkened and unclear controversies in our society and its people. For our topic for this episode, friends, we are going to discuss the terror index of the Philippines, which shows signs of improving. Where is the cheering? Right. Now the question is the insurgency is totally waning? Because friends, the latest Global Terrorist Index or GTI shows that Philippines ranking in the list has lowered. So it goes down, friends. Co-issues designating that terrorism threats in the country have decreased. The passing and the affirmation of the country's Supreme Court of the Anti-Terrorism law and the establishment of the National Task Force to end local communist armed conflict have begun to yield positive results. If this strategy, friends, folks, and co-issues from the government would continue, does this mean that insurgency will finally end? But before we continue with our discussion, don't forget to like and subscribe and click on the notification bell, sana all, so that you will be updated whenever we are having our live stream of issue 101 and, of course, this for the record uploads, new uploads for the record. And please do support also our Facebook fan page, Senor Simon Issue 101, by following it and clicking also the like button. And don't forget also to support our at Senor Simon 101 Twitter account. So friends, this has been a good news. So it deserves a clap, a cheer. That's right. Because the Global Terror Index that lists all the ranked countries that has a terror threats, friends, folks, and co-issues. From this news published in the Philippine News Agency, the news says that NSC, or the National Security Council, hails latest GTI results that place PH at 18th spot. According to this news, the national, which was published yesterday, that was on Monday. By the way, today is Wednesday, April 19. Before I forget, the National Security Council, the newsprint says, the National Security Council, or NSC, on Monday said it welcomes the latest results of the Global Terrorism Index (GTI), which placed the Philippines at 18th place in the countries impacted by terrorism in 2022. We'll have updates for that, friends, for the latest published, the 2023 GTI list. According to NEC, we welcome with great enthusiasm and optimism the latest results of the Global Terrorism Index, or GTI, released by the Institute for Economic and Peace, or IEP, showing a much improved ranking for the Philippines at 18th place for the year 2022 compared to being in the top 10 countries worst affected by terrorism several years ago. That's a statement read by Assistant Director General Jonathan Malaya during the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict online press conference Monday, or NTFL-CAC. This development is a statement to the Philippine government's unrelenting resolve to address the root causes of insurgency through the implementation of landmark measures such as the Bangsamoro Organic Law, the creation of the NTFL-CAC under Executive Order Number 70, our aggressive campaign in preventing and countering violent extremism or PCVE and the passage of the Anti-Terrorism Act, among others. The statement added, since the GTI's inception a decade ago, the Philippines languished in the top 10 list of countries battered by terrorism, along with war-torn states like Iraq, Afghanistan, and Somalia. Such notoriety, according to the same reports, was due to the atrocities mostly committed by the communist terrorist group New People's Army, or NPA, and armed groups affiliated with known international terrorist organizations. That the statement of NAC. So friends, co-issues, this is good news for our country, because this is an improvement in our fight to eradicate insurgency in our country. So this is what the NAC and the news from Philippine News Agency was talking about. This, friends, these co-issues. So in here, we can see the list of the countries that are actually there, that are listed in the Global Terrorism Index. We're going to explain, we're going to learn later on how this was, or this is measured. So according to this website, Overall Terrorism Index score, GTI, is a composite measure made up of 4 indicators: incidents, fatalities, injuries, and hostages. So to measure the impact of terrorism, a 5-year weighted average is applied. So this is the ranking co-issues. The most that has a higher threat as far as terrorism is concerned is Afghanistan, followed by Burkina Faso. I don't know what country is that, Burkina Faso. And of course, the more known Somalia. Then we have Mali. So previously, according to the NAC's statement, that the Philippines is always within top 10 groups. We are aligned with Syria, where ISIS is a threat in Syria, Pakistan, and of course Afghanistan, where they are now overwhelmed with the Taliban. The Taliban is now the sitting government in Afghanistan. And then we have Iraq, Nigeria, Myanmar, our neighboring country, and Niger. We are always in the top 10. This is in the year 2022. But right now, we are now in number 18 with 6.328. 6.328. Now, perhaps you're going to ask why its number, or it is scored as 8, and then or the highest is 8 at this point, because the scoring of this, which we're going to tackle later, is rated from 0 to 10. 10, which is the worst, and 0 is without any incident of terrorism whatsoever. So at number 18, we are just behind Chile, and of course Egypt at number 16, while we below us is Chad. I don't know what country again is that. Then we have Kenya, Iran, and so on and so forth, friends. So that's it. Now, how does the what do we call this, IEP, or the economic, let me check on that again, economic and or Institute for Economic and Peace rated this Global Terrorism Index, so that we will have an idea how this terrorism index is being rated So according to the same website, visionofhumanity.org, you may access the link provided in the description box in our YouTube channel. According to their way of determining the rate or giving the grade rating of countries in relation to terrorism threat and cases, so this is their explanation. The Global Terrorism Index, or GTI, is a comprehensive study and analyzing the impact of terrorism for 163 countries, covering 99.7% of the world's population. The GTI report is produced by the IEP, or Institute for Economic and Peace, using data from Terrorism Tracker and other sources. The GTI produces a composite score. So it is a combination of what we've been read in the news report earlier. So it is a composite score so as to provide an ordinal ranking of countries on the impact of terrorism. The GTI scores each country on a scale from 0 to 10, where 0 represents no impact for terrorism and 10 represents the highest measurable impact for terrorism. Now, in addition to that, friends, the latest result on as far as this study is concerned, in this published document, Global Terrorism Index 2023, they added in the explanation that the way that this is measured, friends, the GTI is based on data from Dragonfly's Terrorism Tracker database and uses 31 of December 2022 as the cutoff date. Incidents are only included in the dataset if they are consistent with Terrorism Tracker's definition of terrorism, which means recorded incidents may vary from other databases. Defining terrorism is not a straightforward matter. There is no single internationally accepted definition of what constitutes terrorism, and terrorism literature abounds with competing definitions and typologies. IEP accepts the terminology and definition used by Terrorism Tracker. So they define this GTI defines terrorism as the systematic threat or use of violence by non-state actors, meaning those that probably in opposition to the sitting government, or perhaps other groups that just want to produce anarchy or chaos, whether for or in opposition to established authority, with the intention of communicating a political, religious, or ideological message to a group larger than the victim group by generating fear and so altering or attempting to alter the behavior of the larger group. So, in understanding, they have an additional explanation on this, friends. The link is provided if you want to go in-depth reading on the matter, on the subject. They said that it is important to note that many governments perpetrate state terror against their citizens. However, as they are acting as the authority, these acts are not included in the GTI. For example, acts of the Taliban, which since August 2021 has been the government in Afghanistan, are no longer included. This exclusion, that's what I've mentioned earlier, in definition is not meant to disregard the seriousness or prevalence of any act of state terror. Such acts pose significant threats to peace, and as such, IEP tracks this through the political terror scale contained in the Global Peace Index. So, they have this criteria to determine the terrorism tracker. Okay? It does not include, according to this, in line with this definition, it does not include the following as stated here. So I will just leave it to you to read it more further if you want to analyze this data. But I will just go over to this once again for this 2023, in which it shows that the Philippines is at number 18, down by 1. Okay, and still the number one and most affected country as far as terrorism is concerned is Afghanistan. So this shows, friends, folks, and co-issues that the act or the action or the move or the strategy spearheaded by the previous administration of former President Duterte and is now continued by the current administration of Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is very effective. It's very effective in coping and probably eradicate this very lengthy war of insurgent perpetrated by Muslim insurgents aligned with ISIS, and of course these rebels, which is already designated as terrorists, the communist terrorist group known as the New People's Army. This move by the government to establish National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTFL-CAC, and the passing of the law, the Anti-Terrorism law, and the confirmation or affirmation of the country's highest arbiter, or the Supreme Court, shows that this move by the government is now taking a positive result. If the succeeding government, if the current government and the succeeding government will continue to implement all this reform that has been started by the previous administration of former President Duterte, there is a high possibility that by the next probably 10 years or 20 years, hopefully less than that, friends, co-issues, the insurgency problem in our country will be just a part of our history. So the stand, like this statement made by our Vice President Sara Duterte, in which he always emphasized his or her fight against terrorism, against the communist rebels, against this New People's Army. In her statement here, let's read it. Read this, and I will translate this into English. She says, I also trust and calling to everybody to join our call in combating local terrorism, especially in places that they are recruiting our children. They are destroying these terrorist groups or terrorist group called NPA or New People's Army are destroying our lives and our future and the future of our children. This is what Vice President Sara Duterte is talking. This is her statement. The NPA is like the criminals, those who peddler of illegal drugs. This terrorist group should be removed, should be distanced from our children.
For the record.
Finally, she said, let us unite, protect the Filipino children, or protecting Filipino children is protecting the Philippines.
For the record.
So that's it, friends. It shows that this action, this strategy, this move, the calling that the peace talk should be restored, is actually foolishness and scam by this communist terrorist group in order for them to restore their strength now that they are actually weakened. That is why we are the threat of terrorism in the country is now diminishing, and hopefully just within the administration of President Bongbong Marcos Jr., this one will, or the eradication of the insurgency problem will be within reach, or will happen. The eradication will totally happen.
For the record.
So that's it, friends, in our show For the Record. Once again, this is yours truly,
Senior Simon.
your firm and courageous confidant of truth and agent of light and clarity to a darkened and unclear controversies in our society and its people. Will say a well-informed person is advantageous. Take care. God bless you all. All praises be to the Lord Jesus Christ. Bye-bye.